Welcome to this custom deep dive. I mean, when most people look up at the night sky, they just see a static painting, right? But over your recent course notes, you've learned to look at those same stars and see a highly calibrated financial barometer.
Yeah, exactly. You've built this really rock-solid foundation for tracking gold through astrological cycles. But today's deep dive into your final course materials is, well, it's about testing the limits of that system.
Right. We are taking the exact same astrological tools you've mastered and seeing how they decode completely different major financial markets.
And to do that, we really need to look at the engine you've built. Because you're no longer just looking at vague astrological signs.
No, you are using planetary coefficients and solar transits. Okay, let's unpack this. If we think of this like weather forecasting, the planetary coefficient is like your baseline barometric pressure.
Yeah, it's a quantified weight assigned to a specific planet based on its current orbit. Yeah. Which gives you the asset's underlying momentum.
And the solar transits are the storm fronts moving in, right?
Exactly. When the sun crosses specific mathematical degrees in relation to those weighted planets, it acts as a trigger. It activates the coefficient.
Oh, wow. So that is how you estimate the exact timing of bullish and bearish periods.
Yeah, it's a rigorous mathematical foundation. You aren't just guessing if it will rain, you are tracking the actual pressure drops. If we connect this to the bigger picture, these discrete calculations provide the foundation necessary to build your own functional financial astrology models.
So you have this highly tuned barometer for gold, but gold is, I mean, it's a physical ancient rock.
Right, and the real test of this mathematical model is whether it shatters when we apply it to completely different assets. Your notes specifically highlight silver and crude oil and even Bitcoin.
Here's where it gets really interesting because, wait, I'm stuck here. Since each asset has its own symbolism, does mapping a highly modern volatile asset like Bitcoin require an entirely different planetary perspective than mapping an ancient physical asset like silver?
Well, that is exactly why the method works. Because the math isn't locked to the asset's physical age. It's locked to the asset's behavioral profile.
Wait, really? So you don't just copy-paste the gold formula onto a cryptocurrency?
No, not at all. You have to identify the new asset's specific planetary correspondence. Silver, for example, is heavily tied to the moon. It has historical resonance, moving in very traditional physical cycles.
And what about Bitcoin?
Well, because Bitcoin is digital and decentralized and prone to massive volatile swings, the course aligns it with Uranus.
The planet traditionally associated with disruption and technology.
Exactly, sudden changes. You swap the core planetary weight in your equation over to Uranus, recalculate the coefficients based on its orbit, and then watch for solar transits across that new baseline.
Ah, I see. So the underlying equation remains exactly the same, but you are swapping out the core variable to match the personality of the asset.
Yeah, that is the genius of the system. Crude oil would require finding the planet that governs deep Earth extraction or energy, plugging that mass into the coefficient, and running the same transit triggers.
So by understanding specific asset correspondences, you genuinely adapt the planetary coefficients to fit the unique nature of different financial instruments.
Yes, the methodology is entirely elastic, as long as you accurately diagnose the asset's planetary symbol first.
Which means you aren't just memorizing historical charts anymore. You now have the foundational tools to independently build your own financial models across a variety of markets.
It is a massive shift. Congratulations on finishing the course material, by the way. You've seen how the exact same transit math adapts from an ancient metal to a purely digital asset just by changing the planetary variable.
The celestial map keeps expanding right alongside our markets, which leaves you with one final thought to mull over as you start building your own predictive models.
Yeah, think about what comes next.
Right. If every single asset, from ancient silver to modern Bitcoin, has its own specific planetary symbolism, what celestial bodies might correspond to the entirely new financial instruments we invent tomorrow?